Since we've been
Since we've been gone.
Since you've been gone. Since we started this channel, we've been looking for more content to discuss. Obviously, we're a commentary reaction space, but the more we've looked through stuff, the more we've realized that some of the things we're looking at honestly takes a slightly more nuanced eye.
And that brings us to Matt Walsh. If you don't know who Matt Walsh is, he's a right-wing conservative YouTuber in the commentary and reaction space who works for the Daily Wire. It's important to note that he sometimes brings up good points. However, he then either follows them up with vague generalized ideas, a false dichotomy, or shows that he just wasn't listening in the first place and his advice isn't applicable based on the context in the video he's reacting to.
Like, it could be good, but not in that situation. With that in mind, let's take a look at a video he made relatively recently reacting to some dating advice from TikTokers.
You know, something we like to do, go to TikTok, to the lost souls of TikTok, and kind of give them some advice.
I understand there'll be some lost souls on TikTok, but there's some lost souls everywhere, so...
And how he says it.
Yeah, very patronizing, which is only followed up better by the fact that he's about to describe this as fatherly advice.
I think we're to go watch some of these dating advice videos and just give some kind of fatherly responses.
Yeah, patronizing is a good word. So I was looking for a way to explain his mannerisms and how he gives advice.
Well, the fact that he thinks of his advice as fatherly kind of denotes the idea that it would be patronizing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, crazy.
So let's go to the first one.
A lot of times in dating, you're gonna experience people that are hot and cold. One week they're texting you like crazy, the next week not giving you so much attention. What's our first emotional response to that?
Before we get to what Matt Walsh has to say about this dude is that he's taking a generalized approach, and obviously that's not a great thing. What's our first emotional response? Nobody. What's your first emotional response? Not everybody is gonna react the same way to every same situation.
It's a response, one possibility.
And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people who will have that response.
Absolutely.
However,
You can say a number of people will.
it's not an inherent thing.
Yeah.
It's call them out, right? Say, hey, listen, I don't understand why you're not hitting me up. The worst thing that you can do is verbally tell someone that their lack of attention
Nude grilling,
is bothering
hot
you.
tub.
First of all, not the worst thing you can do. Could be bad in certain situations. Second of all,
Oh my god, you could see it on my face. There's not even a cutaway because cutaway implies that you stop talking and
go somewhere
then
else.
show a clip and then talk again. In this case, we can't even hear what this guy on TikTok says because of this clip.
I get that it's supposed to denote that Matt Walsh is having a hard time paying attention and listening to this guy, but that's not a thing that you want to communicate. Like, man, I didn't even know what this guy said. Now I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah, being demeaning.
Nah, it's not helping.
Why do you think that people will listen to you?
Telling them gives them all the power. You need to take actions and stay silent. Don't say your moves to somebody. Let's say they're not giving you attention because they're actually busy. Then it shows you're patient. Let's say they actually don't give a f. Their true colors are gonna come out. You're better off keeping your mouth shut.
Now, the advice that guy gives, I think, is only somewhat applicable in certain circumstances. Some cases he'll be right, and some cases he'll be wrong, and there are obviously more options. Sometimes people want to contact you and they can't for some reason.
Yeah.
Not spending too much time on the advice this guy actually gives, which is, not great, not terrible, could be worse. Let's listen to what Maddie has to say about this advice.
Now, what he says there is, if you think there's an issue, don't talk about it. Just remain silent and hope that it works itself out.
This dude didn't say if there's an issue in your relationship, don't talk about it. It's a very specific situation. It's not having issues in your relationship. It's feeling insecure when you're starting to see someone. Those are different things.
So two completely different things. And then he says it'll work itself out.
Yeah, that's not what the dude was saying. He was saying, wait, watch, find out. Not like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that point wasn't brought up at all in this dude's video.
The thing is, as a man, I can sort of understand that instinctively. Like, I do apply that sometimes to relationships when I shouldn't. I apply it to, like, household repair issues.
Also, just straight up assuming that the advice is being given directly to men because it's from a man, when he kind of is just giving advice about dating. It didn't really say specifically anything about men or women.
Yeah, he didn't.
Or other.
Yeah, didn't mention anything except when you were in this situation.
Yeah.
Something's broken, my wife says, can you fix it? I'll say, just leave it. It'll work itself out.
Now, as an analogy,
doesn't work.
Like,
you can't translate a broken appliance into an issue in a relationship. And in this case, it's not even an issue in a relationship.
Right, because a broken appliance, sink, whatever, is something that definitely needs to be fixed. But someone not messaging you back when you first start seeing them for a few hours, day, two, maybe, isn't necessarily an issue. You simply may not know what's going on in their life. They could be sick or in like hospital.
So many possible scenarios.
I'm not saying that's definitely the case. I'm just saying there are options other than they just don't want to talk to you or they're busy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess being sick is kind of busy, but you know what I'm saying.
I feel a certain pain. I just say, well, I'll leave it alone. But in reality, that's not actually what you should do. In a relationship, you just talk to somebody. And if you think there's an issue, then you have the conversation. But here's the other point.
That would be good advice. Talk through your issues is pretty great. In this context, though, not so much.
Yeah, there are many types of relationships. There are casual dating. You can see multiple people.
Maddie is coming at it from the standpoint of we're in a relationship and we have an issue to work out. But that's not necessarily always the case.
If you're just dating someone and they're hot and cold and they're ignoring you for a week and then they're into you for a week, just break up. That's the easiest thing you could do. It's not worth your time.
Okay.
Just break up. Take my advice.
I will not take your advice, Maddie. Can it be a good thing to just break up with someone if they're being hot and cold like the way Maddie is assuming they're being? Sure. But once again, there are other reasons for someone to not contact you immediately. What you need to do is get out of your feelings and realize they might have something else going on. And if it turns out that they didn't and they just don't care about you, well, yeah, move on. But find out.
His advice is based on assumption here. And one possible scenario. Just, yes, they're being flaky. Break up with them.
Yeah, it's short-sighted.
15 really personal questions you should consider asking on a first date if you don't want to waste your time. Do you want kids? Do you want to be in a monogamous relationship? Do you want to get married one day? Who did you vote for in the last election? Who do you first go to for support? How often do you drink or do drugs? How done are you with your ex? How important is religion to you? What's your main priority in life? How often do you want to do it? How adventurous are you in bed? When an argument happens, do you initially want to process it or get some space? Would you ever be open to relationship therapy? What's your number one deal breaker? Why do relationships typically end for you?
All of those questions are good questions. They're all valid and important questions. They may not all be things you want to ask on a first date, but they are all good.
Yeah, it would be much more applicable if he said starting to see someone.
These are all questions you should find
know
out
each
early
other.
in seeing someone.
Yeah, while
Fair.
getting to know each other.
Maybe not all of them on the first date.
Yeah.
Some of them?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's see what Maddie has to say.
Okay, you see there, the first 5 questions actually weren't too bad.
The first 5 questions aren't too bad.
The problem is, first of all, is I can pretty much guarantee that he's looking for all the wrong answers to those questions.
First of all, it's going to be very individual. There's no right and wrong.
Yeah.
Second, he's saying, I can guarantee. You can't guarantee anything. You're not saying this.
Especially about someone you don't know anything about.
You don't know this person at all.
Yeah.
Even if you do know this person, you still can't say that.
Now, okay, to be fair, I would say that in this context, when he means I guarantee, what he's really saying is I would bet. And that's fair. He can bet that.
Sure.
He'll probably be wrong. In fact, he'll definitely be wrong, seeing as what he's saying doesn't have a right or wrong answer, and he's assuming there is. Which, faulty premise.
Sort of black and white.
And this is not a black and white thing.
Yeah. Do you want to have kids? People have different ideas and different plans, and there's no right or
I'm thinking
for him.
in Matt's mind's eye, the right
Apparently,
answer is yes, I want to have kids.
Yes.
I'm assuming, though, that is speculation. Let's be clear.
There are right answers to those questions, and that guy specifically is probably looking for the wrong answers.
It's nice that he adjusted and said, probably. It's a little something, but it's something.
We can appreciate that.
You do want to be careful that your first date doesn't become like a Law and Order interrogation scene.
Agreed.
This is fair.
How long were you with your ex? What are your priorities in life? Asking somebody on a first date if they'd be open to relationship counseling. I just met you 5 seconds ago, and you're asking me if I'm ready to be in counseling with you. That's a million red flags all at once. So
The way that started, relatively fair. Yes, laying all of those 15 questions on someone on a first date is a lot.
If somebody asked me if you're open to relationship therapy in the future or whatever, I would be okay with that.
At this point.
Gives me, at this point, yeah, because this gives me insight into this person's thought process.
Like when you're a mature adult, or at least trying to be a mature adult, those are relatively fair questions.
Yes.
But they're not inherently applicable to all ages. Like,
All times, no.
if an 18-year-old asked half of those questions, the other one would be understandably a little bit concerned. A little bit freaked out.
Booked.
Yes.
Like, run.
Definitely
For the
a-
hills.
Even if it isn't a red flag, it feels like it.
Yes, he's saying it's a red flag, which is incorrect.
Depends
because
on
it's
the
not
person.
inherently
Yeah,
that.
yeah, depends on the person.
Yeah.
That advice, at least unlike some of the other stuff we've seen, it started strong, went off the rails, unfortunately.
Hilariously ironic, right?
Oh my God.
Exactly the same thing I would say to Maddie. That advice, buddy, started strong.
Yeah.
Then it just went off the rails real quick. So as you can see, at this point, we've gotten through a few minutes of this video and already had many things to discuss. So on that note, we're gonna finish this video in another video. It's gonna be a two-parter.
Yeah.
The
Really.
shit, maybe we'll make it a trilogy. It's gonna be sick.
Part 1, the Matt Walsh trilogy, part 1. Because it might not be the first. Oh, well, it will be the first. It might not be the last.
Good or bad, right or wrong, the man is somewhat complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you stick with us. I hope you enjoyed that. And I don't know, we'll see you next time.
See you in the comments.
Yeah.